by the Dallas Life Foundation, located at 2105 Commerce Street in the heart of downtown Dallas, Texas. The Dallas Life Foundation is a ministry which serves as a haven of rest to the troubled lives of the down and out wandering the streets of Dallas. Each month, the Dallas Life Foundation satisfies the hunger pangs in hundreds of hungry stomachs by serving over 6,000 warm, nutritious meals. Each month, the Dallas Life Foundation provides a warm shower in bed for over 3,000 tired, wearied souls. And each month, the Dallas Life Foundation acts as a sanctuary to the countless battered wives and children. The Dallas Life Foundation is actively engaged in God's command to rescue the perishing. And now the host of Rescue the Perishing and president of the Dallas Life Foundation, Dr. James A. Stark.
Thank you so much for being with us today. I hope you'll leave your dial right where it is for the next 30 minutes, and you'll enjoy some songs. Teresa will be singing today, and Carrie will be playing the piano. And also we'll go to the mail bag and see what God has done this week and the letters that we've received. And we'll have an interview with a man that's a tremendous fellow, a great friend of mine, and also a great Christian, and also a great man, a good businessman. And so we'll be talking to him later on. God's really been blessing the ministry of Dallas Life Foundation this past week. We're moving forward on the building, and I know that before September we're going to be in the new building. I was talking with Mr. Ken Blanton today, the builder, and I said, hey, we just nearly about got to be in there by September because our lease runs out. You know, the old building that we're in now, we sold it, and we have a lease until the month of September, and so we've got to be in the new building. And so I'd ask you to be praying about that. I'm excited about it. Today I walked through the new building and saw all the workers there and the work that's being done, and preparations are being made. And I'll tell you, I'm so excited. You know, you began to pray and ask God for something for so long, and then when God really gives it to you, many times you're just so excited about it. I think about Peter there when in the book of Acts, when the church prayed for his release when he was in prison. And you'll recall they were in a prayer meeting when Peter knocked on the door, and they didn't even believe that God had answered their prayers. And sometime when I walk through this new building with 125,000 plus feet of floor space in the building, I think, hey, is this really real? And I occasionally even want to pinch myself to see if I'm asleep to wake up. I'm so excited about it. Be able to take care of 1,000 men and women in the facility when we get it finished. The kitchen equipment, I'll tell you, so crowded now. Many times it takes us 30, 35 minutes just to serve the meal because of the limited space that we have for our kitchen and the serving line. But in the new, I walked through the new kitchen today. They've already got it framed in. And the serving line, going to have 2 serving lines. And in fact, those 2 serving lines can be divided to where they'll be serving from each end of it. And we could have 4 serving lines at one time. And as many people as we'll be serving, that possibly will be needed from time to time. I'd like to invite you to come and visit with us at Dallas Life Foundation. We're a work of faith, a labor of love, a ministry of hope, reaching out to that unlovely by society. Seemingly society's kicked them aside, but thank God he still loves them. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. And so we'd like for you to come and visit with us. At the present time, if you've never been to our place before, we're located 2105 Commerce Street, right in the heart of downtown Dallas. We're feeding more than 11,000 meals a month now, and sleeping over about 150 every night. And we thank God for what he's doing. And so you come and visit with us. Now, Miss Teresa Pelton's going to come and she's going to sing. Carrie Avon is on the piano, and we thank God for the talent that he's given these young ladies, and thank them so much for being willing to share it with us. You get your pencil and paper, and we'll be giving you our mailing address just a little bit later. Now, Teresa, you sing, please.
Jesus is all the world to me, my life, my joy, my all. He life with such a friend. Beautiful life that has no end. Eternal life, eternal joy. He's my friend.
Thank you, Teresa. I always enjoy hearing Teresa sing, and Carrie, thank you for playing the piano. And we have with us today a man that I've learned to love, and I'll tell you, not only a tremendous businessman, but a great Christian, just a good man. Mr. Glenn Williams is with us today, and Glenn was in the ministry. Glenn, you've been in the ministry. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Glenn.
Well, I spent about 20 years in the ministry from 1959 till about 1975, a little less than 20 years. But then went into secular work and have been involved with what was the Bonanza Steakhouse chain and now USA Cafes, which is has as one of its branches the Bonanza restaurant chain, and I work directly for the Bonanza chain.
Give us, what's your title with them, Glenn?
I'm Vice President of Franchise Relations. That basically is the operations department of the company.
Glenn, I've heard you teach the Bible and preach time and time again, and you're one of the greatest Bible teachers that I've ever heard, and I sincerely mean that. Do you enjoy teaching the Bible?
Oh, very much.
You've been studying it now for a long time, haven't
That's
you?
right.
When did you first begin? When were you first saved?
Well, I was saved right when I was out of high school. I was actually more into college. I was about 22 when I became a Christian, and changed from a secular college to a Christian college, and then on into seminary.
And you've enjoyed serving the Lord?
Very much.
How many children you have, Glenn?
We have 5 children.
5 children. God's been good to you, hasn't he, Glenn?
Yes, he has.
Glenn, if you look back in your past, in your service for God, and of course you ask a preacher what he's enjoyed more than anything else, he's going to tell you preaching. But I mean, not with the exception of teaching the Word and preaching the Word, what do you think is the greatest thing that a Christian can do that he gets the most enjoyment out of, other than preaching or teaching?
Well, speaking for myself, the ministries that we've been involved in, I remember in the earlier part of our Christian life, we were involved in the organization of some youth camps and a home for retarded children. And then, of course, even today, we're still involved with working with you with the foundation. I think the greatest thing a Christian can do is to spend his time helping those that have those kind of needs.
Yes. Glenn, I've also observed you since I've been associated with you. I've seen you disciple others. I mean, just take someone and begin to work with them, and maybe just at church, or a few spare minutes here and a few spare minutes there. And I believe that's what God intended for us to do, don't you? Just take them one-on-one, disciple them. Go back now in your life, even before you met me, and tell us about some people that God's let you disciple, and what it meant to you and so forth. Just take a case out of your past.
Well, there's a lot of cases. We have people that are now on mission fields and preachers and evangelists. I guess the greatest thrill we had was being instrumental in working with a fellow that went on to Bible school, and he's a pastor now of a large church in Michigan. His name is Bill Rudd. Bill was in our youth group. He was one of the first people we ever took off to camp, and he was instrumental in his family becoming a Christian, and then, of course, going on to Bible school. And he's a pastor of a very successful church. I think that he's probably the outstanding example. I grew up in my Christian life under the philosophy that you're saved to serve and not to sit.
Amen.
And that's pretty much what we try to tell people as we.
Amen. I had the joy of going to a retreat, a couples retreat that you led in, that you taught. And of all of the retreats I've ever been to, or camps either, you shared some of the greatest truths from the Bible that I'd ever heard. Camp and retreats and things like that, Tell me what you think the effect that they have on a person's life.
Well, I think they have a great effect. I suppose if you take anybody that's in Christian work now and ask them, where did they really get the challenge to go on for the Lord? And probably 7 or 8 out of 10 would say a youth camp or a ministry such as that. I think the thing that's great about youth camps is I think sometimes from the pulpit and sometimes in the formal Sunday school, we have a tendency to not dwell on the practical as much as we should. And in camp, I think they get right down to where they live. I remember an old preacher one time saying, if it's not practical, it's not spiritual. And I think that's true. And I think that's the effect of camp. You get them in a closed-in environment, and you can really get down to where they live. And I think that's why it has that impact.
It's kind of, you know, of course, you preach down at Dallas Life Foundation. You go down there quite often. But, you know, it's an atmosphere to where you're having church every day. You're having preaching and teaching of the Word every day. That's one thing that camp does.
That's right.
It just gets people together. And, of course, when you go off on camps and retreats, you get rid of the television, the radio, and the newspaper for
Peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure, and you're just out there, and you really are you're ministering to each other, and boy, it's just wonderful. I've never asked you this, but I'm sure you've preached a lot of camps, haven't you?
Oh, a lot. Yeah. I think everybody cuts their teeth on camps and rescue missions and those kind of things. But you first do it for practice, and then you find out, boy, these people really are hungry for what you're teaching, and then it becomes a ministry. And I think that's the effect of this kind of work.
Of course, I've done my share of the camps, and here a few years ago I said, boy, never again. But occasionally, I kind of have a longing or urging on the inside of me to speak at a camp. And because you see kids right there that week, you see kids' lives changing. I mean, that week in camp.
That's right.
And Glenn, you've been here you've been down to Dallas Life Foundation a number of times, and you've been in rescue ministries all across the country. Tell us what you think of rescue ministry work of the type we're doing here.
Well, I think it serves a lot of purposes. It's actually more diversified now than it used to be. It used to be you ministered to the drunk or the dopehead on the street and gave them a place to stay in and something to eat, and that surely is part of what you want to accomplish. But now I think getting involved with the battered wives and battered children and the need for providing work for people who really want to work and just haven't been able to find a job, I think the thing has become diversified, and I think we're meeting more personal needs, and I think the Dallas Life Foundation is really more than just now a rescue mission, and I think that's the great thing about it.
Yeah, it's we've seen so many victories. I saw a preacher this week from a city up in Oklahoma, and one of the first victories I ever had at Dallas Life Foundation real victories with a young man, was from the same city. And I called this preacher back then, about 4 years ago, about it. But I've seen a number of victories in people's lives, and of course the Word of God is the answer. You know that, Glenn. And when you just day in and day out give them the Word, then Jeremiah said it hammers like a hammer.
That's right. I think people are confused, too, as to the kind of people that are on the street. I think a lot of times people think, well, these are no accounts, and they're people that just really never amount to anything. But one of the first people I ever met on the streets of Detroit working with the Detroit City Rescue Mission was a fellow that had a Ph.D., and he had been a college professor, had been a wealthy man at one time, and by a turn of circumstances and some involvements which he shouldn't have had, he ended up on the street. And I think people forget sometimes who is out there on the street. And when we reclaim a life for the Lord, sometimes we're reclaiming somebody that can make a big impact.
That's exactly right. And regardless of who it is, Glenn, if it is just an old drunk or dopehead or whatever, we're commanded to love them.
That's right.
Let God, through us, love them. And of course, the Bible says, the goodness of God leadeth thee to repentance. And I've seen that. Have you been in the mission in Chicago?
I was there as a spectator. I've never been there to preach and so forth. The Pacific Garden Mission
Yeah,
Conference.
tell us about it. I've never been there.
It's a very large place. I think our new foundation downtown is going to be larger than that even. But the thing that's big about the Chicago mission is, of course, the location and just the throngs of people that are in that huge city. And the facility isn't all that big so much as just the vast number of people that are there. That's the thing that impressed me the most. It was like a city standing around outside a building. So that's the thing about Chicago.
I was in Grand Rapids. I've been in Mel Trotter. Mission Mel Trotter started there in Grand Rapids. I believe Mel Trotter, wasn't he saved at Pacific Garden?
I believe he was, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then his story, I believe he began actually about 80 or 90 rescue missions in different cities across the country. He was saved in Pacific Garden, and he saw a need for the mission. Now, Glenn, of course, you're out in the business world every day, and you come in contact with all kinds of people. Tell me, what do you think impresses people more, or will draw people more to the Lord than anything else? The life you live in front of them, or what?
Well, I think it's the life you live in front of them. I think that's right. I think they're looking for realness, for sincerity. I believe very strongly in the love principle of the New Testament, although I believe it's talked about more than it's practiced. And I think people are looking for something genuine and something real. And I just think that if we're going to win the world for Christ, it's going to be through genuine love. And I think that's demonstrated by things like this foundation and the Mel Trotter mission and other kind of work such as that. There they see that people really do care. And I think that has probably as much impact as the message does that's preached.
Glenn, just here recently, you certainly you've proved your love for the Lord and the work over and over and over again. But here, just recently, you were responsible for giving about over $30,000 worth of equipment for our building, our new building. And for that, we're thankful. And there'll be lots, and for those that are there, you gave the kitchen equipment, a lot of the kitchen equipment, many, many other things. And that's where the things come to Dallas Life Foundation. Of course, everything, we're a tax-deductible organization. Everything, we have no way of income except what people give us. And so I thank you for what you've done. And that's not the first gift that you've given to the Dallas Life Foundation. Over the last 2 years, you've given time and time and time again. And is giving a blessing to you?
Yes, it is. Of course, I want to be clear that that was USA Cafes that made the gift and not me. I had a part in helping them make that decision, but I wanted to be sure that they get the credit for that, because it is a generous move on their part.
Yes.
But giving is a blessing. My wife and I, for a long time, have proven the Lord in this area, and you just can't outgive the Lord. And if you don't always get it back monetarily, you get it back in happiness and fulfillment.
I see you getting it back monetarily, though, Glenn. Just recently, you put a house on the market, you asked a price for it, and you got exactly what you asked. Is that right?
That's right.
And was it the same day you bought another house?
It was within 2 days.
Within 2 days.
We looked about the same day at a house, and then within a couple of days we decided.
And the Lord had to be in that.
Yeah, that's right.
I told you when you began to look, you remember I said, God will bless you. God can't help but bless. God can't help but bless a fellow like you, Glenn, that just wholeheartedly, unashamedly loves God and loves his church and his work, and he gives to him. Glenn, if you had about a minute or two, what would you say to the people out there? Just looking at that camera right there.
Okay.
Say whatever you want to.
Well, I would say one of my favorite verses in the Bible is that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and we've proven that. That simply means that Jesus Christ today can meet your needs. He was the same yesterday. He can take care of your past. And he's going to be the same tomorrow, so he can take care of your future. So you can take today and yesterday and tomorrow, and he can solve all the problems you have in any of those areas. And I recommend him very highly to everyone who would accept him.
Amen. Glenn, thank you, and want you to know I love you, and I'm glad to be associated with you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you being here today. Teresa's going to come back, and she's going to sing for us again. I know you enjoy it. Teresa, we need to hear from you this week. Our mailing address, it's on the screen right now. Dallas Life Foundation, Post Office Box 2203, Dallas, Texas, zip 75221. Get that letter in the mail today, and if you could, it would be good if you'd send us something to kindly help out here at Dallas Life Foundation. You listen to Teresa while she sings now.
As the world looks upon me, as I struggle along, and they say I have nothing, but they are so wrong. In my heart, I'm rejoicing. I wish they could see. I thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. For I've a roof up above me, I've a good place to sleep. There's food on my table and shoes on my feet. You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. I thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. Well, I know I'm not wealthy, and these clothes, they're not new, and I don't have much money, but Lord, I have you, and to me that's all that matters. How I wish they could see. I thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. For I've a roof up above me, I've a good place to sleep. There's food on my table and shoes on my feet. You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. I thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. I thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me.
Thank you, Teresa, and I thank God for his blessings on us also. I'm going to ask Teresa to sing again in just a moment, but first I want to look in the mailbox. We have a letter this week from the Pettigrews. It said, "Dear Dr. Starks, I received your newsletter and enjoyed reading it very much. I think you're doing a great and wonderful service for our God by helping the destitute, the homeless, and unfortunate of humanity there in Dallas, especially the little children and the teens. Heaven's great reward shall surely be your gain. I'm enclosing a small gift. Please pray for me and my children. May God send you much more help and continue to bless you." And that's from F.M. Pettigrew in Joshua, Texas. And so I thank you for what you're doing. Now, Teresa, I want you to come back and sing again for us. But before Teresa sings again, maybe you didn't get the address a moment ago. It's Dallas Life Foundation, Post Office Box 2203, Dallas, Texas, zip 75221. It's imperative that we hear from you this week. Come visit with us. We're presently located at 2105 Commerce, right in the heart of downtown Dallas. And come see our new building, the corner of Griffin and Katy Streets, the old Coon Nut Warehouse in Dallas, Texas. Now, Teresa's going to sing. Listen while she sings.
My heart can sing when I pause to remember a heartache here is but a stepping stone along a trail that's winding always upward. This troubled world is not my final home, but until then, my heart will go on singing. Until then, with joy I'll carry on. Until the day my eyes behold that city. Until the day God calls me home. This weary world, with all its toil and struggle, may take its toll of misery and strife. The soul of man is like a waiting falcon. When it's released, it's destined for the sky. But until then, my heart will go on singing. Until then, with joy I'll carry on. Until the day my eyes behold that city. Until the day God calls me home. Until the day my eyes behold that city. Until the day God calls me home.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And until next week, this is James Stark saying thank you so much for tuning our way today. And we need to hear from you. The address will be on the screen. Thank you very much.